Hello and welcome back to Mr. Caro Plays FM24. Today we're going to look at something different, and this is something you can do within your training schedule to improve, an attribute that wouldn't necessarily impact your fatigue or your reduce your condition. So we're going to go over to training, and when we get to training, we're going to go over to calendar, and we're going to look at our calendar. Now I have added a few in here myself, but what we're looking at specifically is what we can do on our rest days. Now, if we go down to a new rest day over here, you can see there's recovery in there already, and we're going to go down to extracurricular, and there are two options within here. One is community outreach, and the other is team bonding. Now, one of these has significantly better attributes or better, effect, if you like, than the other, but we will go through both. So community outreach, for example, like I say, one has more than the other. This one is the one that doesn't have as much benefit as team bonding. It attributes teamwork, cohesion, slightly reduces condition. However, obviously it's a nice thing to do perhaps, but we're, as a kind of football game, we're not bothered about if it's a nice thing to do. We want to see what effect that has on our team. Now, if we go over to team bonding, you can see that this one has more emphasis on specific things. Now, if we go back to community reach, for example, it's had just two benefits. If we go over to team bonding, you got 4 benefits. One is reducing fatigue, which is incredibly important, all right? So that is a beautiful thing we can get from this, as well as teamwork, team cohesion, and happiness. All things that are incredibly useful to benefit our team. Now, you can only put this in, I believe, once a week. We're going to test that theory, so I got it in there. For me, that makes me choose, but I don't do my train all the time. And then we're going to look and see if we can add one of these in another time. Okay, so you can choose one of each one once a week. So my recommendation would clearly be, given that it doesn't have too much of a negative effect on your fatigue or your condition. Now, this is something that is worth keeping a note of, but suddenly if you have a week and it does, maybe you don't want to do both of them in a week. But for me, for example, I would roll the dice and put that in each week. Now, it is worth pointing out something that isn't necessarily as specific as maybe a match review would be. However, if you are playing in a league that has a split, in my Finnish league, for example, we have a champions split and a relegation split. Fixtures will change the calendar. Fixtures will move different things around. If you've got match review in and you don't know when the matches are, you cannot obviously put that in afterwards. So once a split of the league happens, then a training attribute like that one would have to be put in afterwards. Not so much of this one, however, it is worth keeping a note on. Obviously, if games are moved into the days where you're doing that, then the training is going to get cancelled, right? So it is worth keeping a note, especially if you play, like I say, in a league that splits into multiple categories or has different sections throughout the season. Now, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Hit the notification button for more videos. Thank you and goodbye.